let's get back to you a little bit, your career. So you're at Heritage now for a couple of years. How did it progress in there? You guys are just growing, you're adding more people, adding more product lines. You instrumental in all this at the time?
We didn't add anything for almost 10 years.
Okay.
It was just coins. We kept growing in coins to the point that we'd grown to about 100 people. We were doing about $100 million a year in business.
That's phenomenal. I mean, even today, that would be a top 5 firm, probably.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot. But back then, wow.
And we had outgrown the space we were. And so this is 1996, and the internet was kind of new. And we were sitting around. We have a board meeting once a month, and of the managers that are kind of most responsible for running the company, and we're talking about the internet. And Jim has always been our technology visionary. And we decide that we should throw a couple $1 million at building a really whammy-jammy website and loading it full of content and having it be free for coin collectors, for everybody in numismatics. And that by doing that and having it be free, that we could then market to those people, and they would feel good about doing business with us because we were a great resource for them.
Transparent.
At no charge.
Yeah, sure.
We never thought we'd do any business from it. We really didn't.
Wow.
We created it to be literally like a public library.
Really? So our website, Heritage, it'll have our name and address and our phone number if you need to call us, but it's going to be a library of coins and prices of coins that we've sold. Wow.
Yeah.
Never thought you'd do business out of it.
No.
Wow.
So then, of course, the world started beating a path to our door, and people started calling us from everywhere that had important coin collections because they found us online. And we started doing, I remember the very first, now when there's a big collection, there's an online report that we fill out, and I see it instantly, and my partners see it, and we decide how to work on that collection. Back then, you just ran down the hallway and told me about it. And so the very first, I remember this, the very first collection that we heard about was from a fellow down in Waco, Texas. And so he called, told me he inherited a collection. From just talking to him on the phone, it sounded like it could be $50,000 or $100,000. And Waco's not that long a drive from Dallas. So I got in my car, drove down there, and sitting at his kitchen table, and I told him that I estimated that at auction the collection would bring around $700,000. And he looked at me kind of skeptically. He said, "That's very interesting." He says, "I would have never believed that because my father was the coin collector." He said, "I'll tell you something." He says, "After my dad died, I took these coins to a coin shop, and they offered me $25,000 for them." And my father always used to say, when he was on his deathbed, he says, "I have a very valuable coin collection." And he put emphasis on very. He said, and 25 grand was about what he paid for a new Chevy every couple of years. And so I don't think he would have put that much emphasis on it. So I decided not to sell it to the coin shop. And there's a computer at the library in town. There's a computer at the library in town. And so I went and I found your website, and I found another company's website, and you were here in Texas, and the other company was somewhere else. And so I called you, and here you are. And
that's the first screen of the internet. The first thing.
The first thing.
What year is this?
96.
96. This is like the first, like, wow, this has got legs. This is interesting. Yeah.
So remember the movie Wall Street, Michael Douglas standing on the beach with the Motorola phone?
Yeah,
it's about
shoebox,
this big, the shoebox size?
Yeah.
I had a phone just like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so I load the coins into the car, and I drive out to the highway where I can get reception. I take out my shoebox Motorola phone, and I call Steve and Jim and said, "You won't believe this. I have this fabulous collection that's coming in for auction that I'm bringing back." And the guy found us from our website.
What?
And that was the first time.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also for those of you out there, the first episode of Slab Lab was your colleague Jim Halpern, and we went into really great detail about Heritage and their efforts to go all on the internet. I think it was a complete game changer for the company, the industry, the business. I mean, you guys instantly went to #1, like within a year, 2 years. In terms of total auction revenue, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
When I started, we were #5.
Wow. And you deployed a lot of resources. How many employees are at Heritage at this stage of the game, do you think?
Oh, in 96?
Yeah.
100.
Still, okay, about 100
Yeah.
still. Okay,
From
gotcha.
87 to 96, we went from 50 to 100.
Got it,
And
okay.
from about 50 million in sales to about 100 million.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so when did you, when did they sit down with you and say, hey, we want you to be president? What was that like? When was that?
I had been there 15 years when they asked me to be their first partner. They had always, I believe, they'd always just planned that Steve and Jim would be the only partners. And so 2002,
Okay.
so 20 years ago, I became their first partner.
Wow, congratulations. So was that like a seance? Was there candles? You know how the mob indoctrinates people and things like that? You're a made guy. How was that? Was it just the conference room, or was it?
It was the conference room. It was, here's the proposal. It was, drawing up legal documents because I'm buying stock.
Sure, okay.
I didn't have the money to buy the stock, so I had to borrow it from the company.
Sure,
to
okay.
pay interest on it.
Got it, okay.
But it turned out to be the best, financial decision of my life.
Right. Were you completely surprised that they had offered you this? They're like, hey, we were like, not only we own the company, we want you to be an owner as well.
Yes, I was really moved. I was flattered. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Excited. Must have that when you called your wife, guess what just happened today, honey? That must have been great. It's awesome.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, you worked really hard to get there. That's awesome. Yeah. So now you're president of Heritage. So did that include like a parking spot up front and things like that? You like wave, snap your fingers, your coffee shows up?
No.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Nothing like that.
Still a regular guy. You're still like, right, okay.
Yeah, so around that time, I remember I was on a Friday afternoon sitting on the floor in my office wrapping a FedEx box. And one of the shipping department people walks by and says, boss, what are you doing? Give me that, I'll take care of it. Right. I said, I thought everybody was gone for the day. It's Friday. I need to get this sent out FedEx for Saturday delivery. I said, I've packed thousands of packages in my life. I'm almost done. I've got this one.
Right.
Drop it off at FedEx myself on the way home today.
That's awesome, yeah.
So, it helps to have been in business for yourself and done everything.
In order to teach and be a mentor, you'd have to like send 1,000 packages through FedEx, sort, we'd send bags, sort silver dollars, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, there's a lot of coin businesses out there. I've estimated there's like 12,000 coin shops out there, perhaps more, tons of coin dealers that are very similar to you, work out of an office. There's literally tens of thousands of coin dealers. But you're running the largest coin organization ever in the history of the world. What's a typical day for you like? I mean, I have a coin shop, I'm sorting coins, talking to clients, but you, when you're at the top, what's it like every day?
So, well, there's a group of us, and we all have, of the Heritage Partners, we all have specific areas of expertise.
Okay.
So Steve Ivy's is the business side. He's making sure that we're profitable. He's looking at overhead. He's the senior executives report to him. Everybody reports to Steve.
Okay, so he's like the operator. How much of his day is involved in coins? Is it very little?
None.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Steve's none.
That's interesting because he's such a
But
super coin brain.
all the partners report to Steve.
Right, I see. Okay.
But Jim is a bigger coin brain. Steve is a fabulous business brain. Jim is too. There's so many people who I know that are brilliant coin dealers, but they don't have a good business head, whereas Steve and Jim have both. And that, I think, was what I admired about them and what I tried to emulate. And I think is why Heritage has been very successful. We're all really different. We're like this dysfunctional, group of people that are all married to each other.
Yeah, it's like a family, have a good time.
Yeah. But so Steve has final say on everything having to do with overhead. Jim has final say on technology. Jim led our charge into all the other categories. All the $20 million we spent on technology, making HA.com with 1.5 million members, more than 1.5 million.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
In 195 countries.
It's great.
Jim has been the driving force behind that. My day is I live in New York City and in Dallas both.
Oh, really? What percent of your time is split?
Like a third each and a third everywhere else.
Okay.
So we have a home there. I have an office in our Heritage office in New York. If you're ever in New York City, Sarah Miller is a fabulous numismatist who runs.
She's cool too.
The New York office, and we're on Park Avenue at 56th Street.
Wow, it's a great location.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So.
So when you're in New York, you go into the showroom. That's where your office is. That's where you work out.
I have an office there. I'm there, a third of the year, every month. I'm there, 10 days.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and in Dallas, about the same amount of time. Traveling everywhere else the rest of the time.
So when you're in the office, you're working with your partners, teleconference or Zoom. I'm just imagine you talk to a lot of clients, a lot of collectors who are building collections. And do you get to look at coins much? How is that since you have so much responsibility?
I look at coins when I go to visit a collector that has a coin collection. Or if something amazing comes in, like the Bass collection, for example. When the Bass collection came in, I told them I wanted to look at it just as quick as I could without slowing things down.
Got it.
But a good part of my time is spent working with the biggest collectors in every one of our 50 categories.
I see.
There's about half a dozen of them that I know cold myself because I have personal interest. The others, I have the specialist in that department working with me. But I like working with the biggest collectors and the biggest collections. I think they are so interesting. The people are so interesting.
It must be so much fun. The passions.
And it's challenging, and I love it.
That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, it sounds like you're having a great time on a day-to-day basis. You get to interact with a lot of successful collectors, manage a great team. It's like a family. You're having a pretty good time there.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've been a lot of hard work to get there.
It is. We're busy. We're busy all the time.
So I know you can't share the secret sauce with me, okay? We were just talking to our buddy Steve Feltner out there, that you're the king of all closers out there. All right, you have landed more great collections, and I know it's a huge, great team. You couldn't do anything without the team.
Right.
But you have landed some of the greatest collections for heritage. There's a lot of young kids out there,
right?
And I think a lot of things that you're going to say are, it's a lot about reputation. So imagine, how did you get to that point, or what are the things that you've done to be able to have people entrust billions of dollars worth of collections to you over the year? What is it? Not the secret sauce, but you can teach the kids a little bit.
So first of all, it's easy to sell when you have the best product,
okay.
And I believe we have the best product. There's other good companies out there. But I think that we are the best overall, and so if you're selling the best product, it's a little easier to explain to someone. First of all, I work on the largest transactions in all of our categories, and the more complicated they are, the more I enjoy it because it's more of a challenge.
Right.
The one thing that I always try to do is to ask a lot of questions. Most people like hearing themselves talk. I want to hear the client talk. I want them to tell me what their obstacles are, what their objections are, what they're looking for, what their timing is, and who is the decision maker here. And then it becomes my job to address every obstacle they have. And whether I need to involve Heritage's Trust and Estates Department, our legal department, Heritage Appraisal Services, whether we're going to get the coins graded because they're raw, whether they were graded a long time ago and need to be sent in for regrade. We have the best grading team, the best team of numismatists to do that. And then we have the cataloging and the photography and the marketing and the promotion, all of which I think is second to none. And so that's really what I do.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
you have a great time. I mean, you're solving problems with people. You're so passionate about these collections, and you're saying, hey, here's some ideas for a good exit plan. What are your challenges? Sounds like a lot of fun.
I think the best part for me, we don't have kids. We have a fluffy dog. But the vast majority of the big collectors that I've worked with in bringing their collections to auction are still good personal friends. And that means the world to me.
Right.
It really does. I have the most fun because I have all these really, really interesting friends.
Yeah.
That are my family.
They're not clients anymore after a while. It's weird to call a friend a client. It just evolves into like, oh, it's just my buddy, That's cool. So there's going to be thousands of collectors that are going to watch this. And what recommendations would you give to them? They're a newer collector. They're trying to figure it all out. They want to build a collection of any budget. What type of recommendations would you give to them, advice, that a lot of collectors make early on, that you can help steer them away from that? What would you say?
Keep your checkbook in your pocket until you've learned a lot.
Okay.
Find a dealer that you can trust. Find a dealer that is transparent, that will tell you, I'll find the coins you want, but this is how much I'm going to mark them up. And make sure you can trust them. Buy a few coins, and then let a little time go by and get an offer back from him and see what he'll pay you for.
Right.
See if he's shooting straight with you.
Mm-hmm.
Great advice is worth the price, and I didn't make that up. I read that a long time ago, and it's true. So find something to collect. Don't start collecting because you want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many of my friends call me up and say, I want to give you $100,000, or I want to give you $1 million to buy some coins for me. And I said, I didn't know you were a coin collector. He said, well, I'm not, but I don't even want them. Just hold them, and when you can sell them for a profit, do that. I said, yeah, we really don't do that.
Yeah.
I said, let me do this. I said, let me show you. Come on in. I'll show you some books. I'll show you all the different types of coins. I'll explain why, as an American history geek like I am, why certain coins I just love. And no, I'm not interested in any of that. I just want you to make me some money.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
You got to pay your dues. Right. You got to put the work in. Then the passion develops, and then the fire really gets going. Yeah, you're very right. But yeah, it's unfortunate some people think that way. But that's great advice. Just
look at a lot of coins. Look at a lot of coins. I'm a big believer. Of course, it sounds biased, but I'm a huge believer in buying at auction. So at Heritage, for example, if there's a reserve on a coin, we tell you there's a reserve, and we tell you how much the reserve is. And we give you an ample opportunity to look at our auction archives and see if you feel comfortable bidding on that coin. That way you know that you're just paying one bid more than somebody else. There's no hidden reserves, there's no chandelier bidding, there's none of that. If you buy it for $1,000, somebody else bid $950 with real money just like you. Yeah,
and auctions are heavily regulated, so there's consequences if there's funny business going on.
But hidden reserves and chandelier bidding is legal. I don't think it should be, but it is.
Yeah.
And we don't do it. We don't do it at all. And we think, and a lot of people, a lot of dealers told us, oh, I'm never going to consign to you because you disclose what the reserve is. And we said, well, just give it a try once. You put the coin in, put the reserve on it. Or don't put a reserve on it. It's better not to put the reserve because that telegraphs to people what you think the coin is worth.
Sure. Should stand on its own.
Yeah, but if you insist on having one, we'll work with you. We're totally fine with that. We will work with you on a reasonable reserve that won't drive people away. It's a fine needle to thread, but we're good at it.
Yeah, it seems like people that they're successful in life, no matter what they're doing. They're a very good plumber. They built to become a billionaire. I think the most successful people understand that their knowledge is limited and they need to work with people that will give them a good advice. Right. Yeah, that seems to be the critical aspect. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So, Greg, what kind of coins do you really get into? What really gets your juices flowing? What do you personally like? Do you personally collect, or if you were, would you buy this coin, gold, copper? What is it that you like?
So I don't collect coins because we are constantly trading coins every day. And what I personally collect in numismatics is national currency on Washington State.
Really? How much? So are you collecting by city, one of each city?
Yeah. So I started off more than 20 years ago, trying to get every town that issued a banknote. I wanted a large size or a small size if a large wasn't made or wasn't collectible. And since then, so I've been collecting that for more than 20 years. I've got a pretty serious collection about it.
How many different ones are there?
There are 92, of which there's about 78 that are collectible.
And you might have asked how many you have of that?
65.
Wow, you're really close.
Yeah. The last ones are buggers.
They're unique or like two known or strong hands.
Strong,
that's cool,
all of those.
So you still get excited, you find a new one.
Okay, but then I also collect all the ephemera that goes with the banks. So I collect the postcards.
Okay.
And the only way to get those is on eBay. So when I'm sitting, waiting for a plane that's been delayed 2 hours, I'm looking at postcards that are $5, on eBay that show of the National Bank, because back in the 30s, banks had postcards and they put them on the counter. Some states it was common. Washington, they're not very common.
Wow.
It's funny, some years ago, about 10 years ago, my wife and I were in Maine for part of the summer. And there is a bookstore that sells postcards.
What city is this?
Camden.
Okay.
And across the street from the bookstore that sells postcards is a yarn store. And my wife likes having clothes made. Nothing more boring to me on earth than being in a yarn store.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So I go across the street for the second year in a row, and I sit at the counter, and I'm looking through boxes full of postcards looking for Washington postcards of national banks that I have the banknote of. And the fellow who owns the store, all of a sudden he takes out his iPhone and he's taking a picture of me. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I told my friends that the president of Heritage comes in here in a T-shirt and gym shorts and looks through my postcards, and they told me I was full of it. So I'm taking your picture to show them."
That's funny. That's good. That's funny. That's pretty good.
But I am so excited when I find a postcard that is one that I need, that I don't have, that I have the banknote that goes with. And then I collect the banking ephemera, blank checks off the bank, canceled checks, bank bags.
That's cool.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, get your juices flowing, you get excited. It's always a hunt. You got a few, what do you got, 13 more left. Yeah,
Right.
Wow.
So I've kind of expanded a little bit further into other areas. And now this past year, Heritage sponsored the first annual National Banknote Collectors Conference.
I saw the videos, I saw the pictures. That was a really cool thing to do.
It was really cool.
Get everybody together.
Yeah, we're doing it again. We're going to do it every year.
That's great.
The exhibit cases, the Bourse tables are all free for people who are collectors.
Right.
And you come, you can give a talk on what you collect.
That's great.
We give you food and drink.
It's always about the folks, people. That's the number one thing about our hobby. You bring everybody together with similar collecting interest. It's just amazing. Things happen.
There was somebody there with a collection worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, and there was somebody there with a collection worth thousands of dollars.
Yeah, sure.
And all the egos were checked at the door. Yeah. And everybody was interested in what everybody else was doing because we all have the same passion.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fun. Getting everybody together like that. All right, let's talk about the bass collection. I'm really excited. First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing Heritage to loan, Slab Lab the coins. Myself, Steve Feltner, and John Dan Ruther did an episode highlighting and discussing the bass. I appreciate that.
I watched it.
Fun. Did you like it?
I did.
Okay, good. It was exciting to do. It's all about the coins, right? And those were amazing. So the first auction is this evening. And by the time this publishes, this will already be done. But there's a total of 3 sales?
There's 4.
4, wow, okay, that many coins, okay, great. So it's exciting. So what do you particularly like out of this collection?
Everything.
Yeah, it's hard, right?
How can you not?
I know,
every coin is a trophy.
Yeah.
The average value is more than $100,000 a coin. There's coins that are worth less than 100, but there's coins worth millions also.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would see this collection.
It's amazing.
And it was a huge honor for Heritage Auctions to be selected by the Harry Bass trustees to sell this.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting.
Yeah,
it's really exciting.
So this never gets old for you. Heritage has handled like the best collections over time of all time, and it's exciting. It's great when you get the news that you get this, you have the coins in hand. It just must be so exciting. That's probably the best part of the job.
It is. I still know what, even though I don't trade coins myself every day, we have people with younger eyes and that are sharper doing that. You don't really lose it. I can still grade coins. I don't keep up with values. But when I'm sitting with someone and they want to ask me what their collection's worth, I can get reasonably close.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But I think what still excites me is looking at coins that look better than almost any other coin of that type. So, as an example, a Gobrek dollar. Gobrek dollars generally come dark. Yeah. For some reason, they are darkly toned. And I bought a coin not that long ago that came into our store in New York, and it was beautiful. It was not darkly toned, and we paid a premium for it because it did not look like every Gobrek dollar, and it sold instantly. Yeah. Because people appreciate coins that are extraordinary for what they're supposed to be.
Sure.
And that's what still really excites me.
Yeah.
I can be looking at it's not the money. I can be looking at a coin worth $500 that is really beautiful, or is really well struck, that does not normally come that way. And I know how they're supposed to look because I've been doing this for 50 years. 50 years now, and that still excites me. Whereas I can be looking at a Pampac round that's been lightly cleaned, that's an expensive coin, but so what?
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we actually on some of our Instagram videos we'll highlight coin of the day, and sometimes it's like a $2 coin. Right. It's a wheat cent with unbelievable rainbow color, something like that. You'd always, there's always something out there about a certain coin that you encounter after you look through thousands of them, like, wow, this one's really special, it stands out, and it's not expensive.
I love coins that are XF and AU, that are fully original. So if you look at barber coins, Lincoln cents. They're not expensive, but they're XF or AU, and I call them Gem XF or Gem AU, and they're just perfect and they're lovely.
Old school collector grades.
Yes.
All the details
I
are
love
there.
those.
Yeah.
I think those
It
are
gets
wonderful
a little bit
coins.
of lusters remaining. It's really cool. Yeah. It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
I'd rather have that than an MS-61 with a big hit on the face.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It's like nice AU, nice XF versus a 60 or 61 or 62. I mean, there's some coins in lower uncirculated grades that are nice, but most of them aren't. It seems like.
Depends on why they're low uncirculated.
Yeah. So let's talk about, something I've started to realize over the last couple of years. You're very passionate about the support of the younger people in the hobby, young numismatists. And I know you have an extensive internship program at Heritage. I know many people in your firm, Jim Stouchestag helps out teaching students both at the A&A Summer Seminar and at Whittier Coin U. Heritage, and I appreciate this, is a supporter of Whittier Coin University. And, we had like 40 students this past year and, over 100 applied. There's a lot of these kids out there. There's a lot of them. And they're great. And I know we're going to do an IG Live dedicated to just talking to the YNs where they can call in and ask you questions and stuff like that. So
that'd be fun.
But yeah, just share us, like, where did that come from? And, what are your activities currently about supporting the youth? And how approachable you are. If a YN comes up in the show and sees you, they can just talk to the president of Heritage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Frankly, it comes from paying it forward. That I have this wonderful life, this wonderful career, because of the older coin dealers when I was a teenager who were supportive of me, who were nice to me, who included me in their socializing, and who taught me, and occasionally pulled me aside and pulled my ear and said, "You don't do that."
Right. Yeah.
And
That's good.
Coins have been a great career for me, and I love it. I don't have any plans of stopping doing it, and it makes me so happy to see so many kids that I look at and think of myself when I was their age.
Right.
And so, gosh, why wouldn't I want to be supportive? We've built Heritage for the future, and we're all getting older, but we have younger partners, and we have a really good bench of brilliant young people. Sarah Miller, Sam Spiegel, Ryan Carroll, really the best. And we want to keep attracting more great, smart young people to Heritage, because that's going to keep the company going forever and ever. Past the day when I want to dial it back a little.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, it's amazing, and you've embraced like things that, respectfully, a lot of us older people really don't embrace, which is social media. You're on Instagram, and Heritage is obviously on YouTube publishing videos. So I kind of feel like we could be at a fork in the road, much like how the internet was in the mid '90s for Heritage. What it has done for the hobby recently, like it could really contribute even a lot more than it has the last couple of years.
The social media, the National Banknote Collectors Group on Facebook, really got me on social media.
Really?
as far as numismatics goes, because it's what I personally collect, and I'm really engaged and really interested in that part of the hobby. And so the natural extension of that was the coin groups.
Right.
Now, it can suck up a lot of time, so I don't let it do that. But I travel constantly. And so I'm on airplanes and sitting in airports and delayed trains and sitting in taxis and traffic.
Yeah.
I find it entertaining, and I learn something from it.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of information out there that I think you're learning. You got to sift through it, but there's definitely some good ideas out there that I think, you're above the vein, very similar to myself. You don't know everything, and there's always something to learn out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have anything else you'd like to share with our viewers about yourself or just any advice in general?
I think the only advice that I would give is to try and surround yourself with people who are smart and who think outside the box and have good common sense and have interests that are aligned with what your interest is in numismatics, and listen. Pick their brain, listen, be respectful of their time, and be supportive. Don't be a know-it-all, and you will make friends that you'll have for life. Yeah. And you'll learn great skills along the way. And it'll either be a great profession or it'll be a great hobby.
It's good advice. Very seasoned advice.
So
that's awesome. Well, thank you for being on this episode. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's
thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
It's fun.
It's fun. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There we go.